Well, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting. We actually have 6 items on the agenda, though 4 of them are fairly, I think all of them are pretty quick, but 4 of them are tied in the same grouping. And with that, I'd like to publicly once again thank Ms. Farag for doing an extremely good packet, and the first 4 items are in that one packet. So unless anybody on the committee has anything in addition to add, Ms. Farag, if you would lead us through, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, the first packet is all of the fire department changes for their CIP. If they wanted to come to the table, that's great. The first one is the White Flint Fire Station. This is providing for a new 5-bay fire and rescue station in the Rockville-White Flint area, and it also has associated apparatus as part of that project. They currently have a station which is down on Rollins Avenue, and that's a 3-bay station. It's not really big enough to deal with the fact that the population and density are growing so significantly in the White Flint area. This project has been delayed multiple times over the past 8 years, and total project costs have increased over $10 million during that time. Now, that's primarily due to net zero requirements that have added about $4 million and design changes that added a police substation for about $1.1 million. The rest of that is cost escalations due to associated project delays. We've talked about this multiple times over the past several years during the full CIP last year. The recommended change for this amendment is to increase fiscal capacity in FY24 for the entire CIP by delaying construction of this project by another year. It's pushing funding out from FY24 to FY25. The total 6-year expenditure amount does not change. It's just shifting within the years. I do have concern about the continued delay and the continued cost escalations for this, and I'm recommending that the recommended amendment not be approved and that it stays on schedule.
And that's where I am. I don't know. I see to my right and to my left we have head shaking, so we're in agreement.
Thank you. The next project is Rockville Fire Station 3 renovation. It is pushing about $500,000 out from FY24 to 25. That's basically a placeholder. That is a privately owned station, and they're continuing to look at how to better do the design of the types of changes they want to make. So I'm recommending approval of that project as well.
And I'm good with that. Yep. And I guess before we continue on, it would be nice of me if I introduced the fire chief. I know that he hadn't been here before. Yeah, please, Chief.
Scott Goldstein, Fire Chief. Good morning. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's always good seeing you, Chief. And would everybody else please introduce themselves?
Rachel Silberman with OMB.
David Dice, Director, Department of General Services.
Greg Austin, Deputy Director, General Services.
And I did want to point out, when you said that the Rockville station is privately owned, it is by the volunteer fire department. It's not like it's owned by,
I apologize. It wasn't a county building.
Some other entity. But we're good on that. Okay. Let's please continue.
The next one is for Fire Station Life Safety Systems. This is a level of effort project, and it provides for ongoing consistent funding for known capital project needs. In this case, it's for fire alarms with voice capability, sprinkler activation for fire suppression, fire and smoke detection, flow and tamper switches, and smoke control systems. There's annual funding that's provided to support the cost of one station per year in general. This amendment makes a minor expenditure acceleration, shifting $13,000 from FY23 to FY22. And that represents savings in one project that allowed for another project to start early. The total project expenditures remain the same, and I'm recommending approval as submitted.
We're good? Yes. And I know that both of the committee members who were not shy, if they had something to add, would let me know.
Yep.
So, I've met both of them. Go ahead.
I was going to say the only thing I thought of when I read that particular one was I used to live in Sykesville, and we actually had a fire where the fire station burnt down in Sykesville. That was massive. It was during a winter storm, and it caused a collapse in the roof. And, so somebody in the public might be reading this item and go, well, why? That's why. That's why you have to have the fire suppression systems inside the actual fire station.
I don't remember what year Laytonsville happened, but it's been a while.
65 or 66 is when Laytonsville Station 17 had a tragic and similar occurrence.
Yep.
Let me
Big,
just point out, they're all buildings. And just because it's a fire station doesn't make it any different than any other building, and they all need updating of their, in fact, DGS and other commercial property owners are all routinely having to upgrade their life safety and fire panel systems. So this is not unusual.
we were good on that, okay?
And the last one for fire is the apparatus replacement program. I realize you just had supplemental appropriation and amendment for that, which approved $4.2 million to allow the county to encumber funds for vehicles with long lead times. This is a different change, and it's appropriating FY25 short-term financing ahead of time to ensure that it can support additional purchases of needed apparatus. So it's somewhat similar, but different, and has to be approved on this separate process, and I'm recommending approval as submitted.
Yes. Thank you.
If,
Please.
if I could just give a little bit of context, and I certainly appreciate where the committee is on the White Flint Fire Station proposed recommendation by the county executive, but as you all are aware, just so you understand our framing, we had quite a bit of high inflation, especially in the first couple of years of the CIP, especially around some other public safety projects, in the police department, of course, but with that coupled with the MCPS pressures that we had in the early years, we had to really constrain what we were looking at to those projects that have not yet entered construction. Unfortunately, this is one of them, and so that's where the executive was on his recommendation.
And we appreciate that, and we appreciate your explanation, and we appreciate what we've done. So thank you very much. Okay. Anything else on this?
And that's it for fire.
Thank you. All right. And we are going to go to the next packet. If I can figure out where I am here. Okay. Ben, did you want to come on up, please? And if you would, Mr. Stevenson, if you would please introduce yourself.
Sure. Good afternoon. Ben Stevenson, Acting Director, Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Thank you. And with that, Ms. Farag, please.
Sure, this just has two projects, and the first one's the detention center partial demolition and renovation. Much of this construction has already been completed, and it should be done by this spring. And that's just at the current facility. It's not the new proposed criminal justice complex, where construction's scheduled to begin in 2026. This is just keeping the current building, which has been around since the early 60s, to provide for some upgrades so that it's more manageable and safe and allows for appropriate workflow within the building with all the different entities who are working there. And again, they maintain confinement of individuals 24/7. So it's very important to make sure that these spaces are up and working properly and safe for everybody. Council, this particular amendment is showing a cost decrease of $1 million, and that just reflects savings in the total overall project, and I'm recommending approval as submitted.
Whenever we can save $1 million, I think we should do that. Okay, we're good.
And the pre-release center dietary facilities improvements, this is an older project as well, which redid the kitchen at the pre-release center down on Neville Street. That construction has long been completed, I believe, in 2019. The facility has been closed since the pandemic, so I did ask DOCR whether or not, and DGS, whether or not that kitchen is in working order, since it has sat in disuse for almost 3 years, and it is. This recommended change is just a funding switch. They always apply for state aid. They assume 50%. They didn't get quite that, so it's just switching it between funding sources. Council staff's recommending approval as submitted.
And when you're saying switching between funding sources, the money stays the same, it's just where
Yes.
we're getting the money.
Right, so they're getting less state aid, so it's more in GO bond spending.
And has anyone been over there to make sure that it's working? You have.
Our facility staff has been on site. We've checked the pilot lights, flipped the switches, turned on everything works. And we've been working directly with corrections staff to make sure that it is ready to go.
And hopefully there will be people using that facility.
Our targeted reopening date is April 16th, not officially announced. Working with your daughter this week, that all things are at least going to go forward. We've been spending lots of time doing walkthroughs during this.
And we appreciate all of that. That truly does save lives and change lives, and that's what we're after, please.
I had one question, because you already answered the one of the ones I was going to ask, but the other one is that noted in the packet that there was the original capacity for that kitchen facility was like half of what it is being used for, or would anticipatorily be used for. So it says that it now serves an average of 150 and is projected to reach 171. So there's like a substantial increase in the quantity of usage for that. Are you anticipating that being accurate once it reopens?
Not initially. I think we're going to have a slow growth build as we re-identify, engage with our partners that often provide returning Montgomery County folks to come through our system. Bureau of Prisons is one of our contracts, as well as the state local reentry program that bring folks. So I expect a low count to grow, and I believe we projected it in our budget as in the first year we're looking at, I think it's 50, 70, 90, and if people were there, we want to service as many as we
Right.
can. The capacity for the kitchen, I'm unfamiliar with. I know it's a brand new kitchen, and COVID came right after we completed it, so we never really got to kind of consider how we could use that with our other programs that we do, including bakery or apprenticeship programs, things that equal jobs. Those are the things that we're most interested in our reentry program. But right now I'm kind of there. We're unsure where we're going to be. I know that I have about 100 sentenced people that would be eligible for pre-release, but that doesn't mean they're all suitable and ready for community corrections right yet. So those are things, as we'll see in the next coming weeks, is we're bringing people back from the jail to start those positions, to screen them, interview, engage families, and see if we can see what our numbers are going to be. So hopefully we'll have a lot more information soon.
Thank you.
And when you're saying bring them in from the jail, are you saying Clarksburg, or are you bringing them in from other
No,
facilities?
Clarksburg. Right now where we are is Clarksburg, any sentencing that's local. We are trying to update our existing contract with the state local reentry program, and this was almost like a reverse sentencing program that we had with the State Department of Corrections, and we would take those that were originally sentenced in Montgomery County and bring them back closer to their families for longer sentences. So that's not up and running yet, but we are working on getting the MOU created. And the Bureau of Prisons was our other smaller contract. Right now, they informed me last week that they are also dealing with a readjustment of sentencing due to their First Step Act. And so that federal act is they're focusing more on people that are 2 years within release. And so they may not have anybody right now for us. So we're going to revisit in about 6 months. But typically our average daily population has been pretty low with the federal. We've had a lot of trouble identifying those that are coming back to Montgomery County, because we want to service or have the first bite at the apple at those that we know that are our returning citizens. So.
Right. Yeah. As far as the budget, are we okay on the
Yes.
gas? Are we clear? Is there anything else?
No?
All right, the world's shortest public safety committee meeting right now. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Dismissed.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you all.